Hi everyone. Good evening. Namaste. This is Ekktaa. I just wanted to check if I am audible and visible. Namaste. So I just want to check if I'm audible and visible because I'm experiencing a lot of internet issues, a lot of fluctuations. So just wanted to check if I'm audible and visible. Yes. And I want to quickly start on with our today's program. Oh, thank you, Shraddha, for confirming. Fantastic, thank you. So, yes, we are live again and we have another interesting topic today. And today's topic, before I go ahead with today's topic, let me tell you, first of all, who are we and what do we do? So, my name is Ekktaa. I'm co-founder of Tava-Mitram, which is a non-profit initiative that aims at raising mental health awareness across the globe. So, this idea took shape in 2016 and was founded on 15th of March 2019 by Dr. Paras and me. We are a team of roughly 50 members who act as Mitra coaches as well as volunteers. Well, the aim of this platform is to create congruency in thinking, feeling, and action. This year, in the month of May 2020, we launched a knowledge-based video series, My Mental Health, My Priority, that aims at spreading the education and knowledge at no cost. So far, we have been able to reach 6,400 plus registrations across the globe, across more than 50 different countries, and the participation still continues. And it gives us immense pleasure that people are actually taking their mental health education seriously, their mental well-being seriously. And yes, on 10th of October, on the World Mental Health Day, we announced the launch of Tava-Mitram in Hindi. We will definitely keep you posted as we further progress. So thank you for continuing your support with Tava-Mitram. 10th being World Mental Health Day. Hence, in October 2020, Tava-Mitram has been running a campaign, Mental Health Matters, which has been a series of panel discussions. So yes, let's move on to our today's panel discussion. We are addressing a very unique topic and I love the name. The name is the mental makeup. Yeah, the makeup word itself is so interesting, and then we combine makeup with mental well-being. So let's understand what is this topic all about. So I would be introducing the panel members one by one, and let me tell you, today's panel is extremely interesting. Today's panel is young, dynamic, talented, and beautiful women who have, decided to come forward and, have an open discussion with all of us. So our panelists today will discuss about internal beauty versus external beauty, and would engage a healthy conversation around the need to define the perception and benchmark of beauty in itself. Our discussion will also take a look at various ways for self-acceptance, self-love, and building self-esteem. So before I introduce you to the panel members, I always have I share a quote. So today, while I was thinking about what quote do I share, I really like one quote which I normally use it in on my mobile. I always have this, and that is, the first step to accepting yourself is to stop comparing yourself to others. So on this note, I would like you all, I would like to introduce my first panel member to all of you, and let me just get her in the room. And I see Deepti Joshi Dange. I'm just going to get Deepti in the room. Hi Deepti, good evening. Namaste to you. Warm welcome.
Hi Ekktaa, good evening. Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Deepti, for accommodating your time and your schedule. So quickly, let me go ahead and introduce Deepti. Let me tell you more about Deepti. Well, I call her, a powerhouse. She's a founder and director of Persona Stars Image Management, and is an international image and communication management consultant, wardrobe stylist, grooming strategist, and a global etiquette and protocol consultant trained in India and USA. She has worked in the field of image management for 10 years with an overall experience of 16 plus years. She has trained over 600 aspiring image consultants pan-India and is one of the senior major senior most image consultants in the country today. She works with her clients to align their inner self-image and outer personal impact, which aids them in achieving their goals. That was really, really a powerful one. Deepti, thank you for joining us and warm welcome to you on this panel. I guess you're on mute, Deepti.
Thank you so much, Ekktaa. Thank you so much.
So we're looking forward to hear your views. So I'll quickly move on to our next panel member, and she is Shraddha Neeraj. Let me just get Shraddha in the room. Do I see her? Okay, there she is. Hi Shraddha, namaste, warm welcome to you. Good evening. Shraddha, you're on mute, I guess.
Hi Ekktaa. Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
So let me just go ahead and quickly introduce Shraddha. Shraddha Neeraj Naik is a chartered financial accountant by qualification and have had a good career in finance and equity market. However, being from a Gujarati businessman family, she always had a strong pull towards entrepreneurship. In this journey, she got introduced to power of gratitude. Wow. As she surrendered to the gratitude practice, her journey towards self-discovery began. As she continued her practice, she discovered positive shifts happening in her life. Her mindset improved and she found her purpose. Purpose to help others who are struggling in life, to build a positive mindset and mental toughness to lead a happy and fulfilling life through gratitude. That really sounds harmonious, Shraddha. I would say warm welcome once again on this panel, and we look forward to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ekktaa.
And yes, I am now going to introduce our next panel member. She is very, very approachable, I would say, extremely warm. And let me get Cheryl Crowie in the room. Hi, Cheryl. Warm welcome to you. Namaste. Cheryl, we can't hear you.
Hi, Ekktaa. Namaste. Hi, everybody.
So Cheryl has joined us from South Africa. So let me quickly go ahead and talk about her. She's a chartered accountant based out of South Africa. And through her own mental health journey, she got inspired to pursue her studies in coaching, psychotherapy, and neuro-linguistic programming. One of the most rewarding roles during her chartered accountant training was being a source of support and empowerment to others. Wow. Imparting knowledge and facilitate the growth of her junior trainees. This made her realize her passion for mental awareness and mental wellness. This has also led her to start a business in coaching with the purpose of transforming the minds of people from all walks of life. So thank you for joining us, Cheryl. I call her a curious and passionate soul. Warm welcome to you on this panel.
Thank you so much, Ekktaa.
And we look forward to your wonderful views. We look forward to hear a lot from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Let me quickly announce our next panel member, Swarita Murali. Let me just get her in the room. Swarita is, Swarita is someone who's a near and dear friend of ours. So warm welcome, Swarita. Namaste to you.
Namaste and namaste to you and everyone here. Very excited to be here.
Same here. So Swarita is someone who is a dear friend, and I call her a woman with valor. She is a Pune-based industrial psychologist turned accredited executive coach. Swarita brings rich psychometric testing, corporate training, and leadership coaching experience. As an L&D manager, she architectures skill development solutions for employee needs, specializing in communication, thought leadership, and behavioral skills. With a strong affiliation towards humanitarian sciences, designing learning experiences, classical music, painting, and Eastern teachings, she serves as an enabler and uplifter, all those seeking to explore their highest form of personal, emotional, and professional expression. So thanks for joining us, Swarita, a woman with vision. Warm welcome to you on this panel.
Thank you so much.
And last but not the least, I would say she is someone who makes foods people's best friend. Let me get Khushboo Agarwal in the room. Khushboo, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Finally, warm welcome and namaste.
Namaste, Ekktaa. Finally, we can see each other and hear.
Yes, absolutely. Khushboo, I just told people, you're someone who makes food people's strength. It actually brought a smile on my face as well. So much of ease. Thank you. So, Khushboo Pathak is a registered dietitian accredited by Indian Dietetic Association and certified diabetes educator, practicing in the field of nutrition since 2013. She is a visiting faculty for a third-year graduate students at SPT College, Mumbai, and founder of NutriArt Nutrition Clinic. Having gained experience from Leelavati Hospital and Nurture Health Solutions, she expertises in prescribing a customized dietary regimen to manage weight and medical conditions because diabetes, heart disease, cancer, kidney diseases. She, along with her fellow dietitians, has also been a part of research papers at national and international conferences. So I would say Khushboo is a woman who wants to create a difference. So warm welcome to you, Khushboo. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Ekktaa, for having me.
Thank you. So, moving on, let me see if Cheryl, we had lost her. I guess there was an internet issue. I can understand Cheryl coming all the way from South Africa, the internet is going to show some latency there.
Yes, it is a bit unstable.
No worries. We'll finally have you. So moving on to our today's discussion, I thoroughly believe we rise by lifting others. I always say that I practice it, I preach it. So now I would request each panel member here to throw some light about their thoughts. How can we support each other, as a community? We can start with Deepti, followed by Shraddha, then we can Swarita, Cheryl and Khushboo. So over to you girls.
Hi, Ekktaa. Am I audible?
I would request rest of you please put yourself on mute while Deepti is talking. So
Thanks. Is it better now? So my thoughts on the topic, first of all, congratulations to Tava-Mitram to, even come up with something like this, because I think there is so much that, on a daily basis, we look at our own health, physical health. And I think somewhere down the line, in the whole business of beauty and, the kind of comparisons that we have, I think the mental health part of it just gets neglected or overlooked. So I think it is such an important factor because, I personally believe, and I also talk to a lot of my clients and people around, that it is usually who we are on the inside. That is what helps us shape what is going on the outside. So I think it's a wonderful thought. I think you guys are doing, a fabulous job with all of these conversations and volunteering work. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit out of it. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Khushboo. Yes, Shraddha, over to you.
So, Ekktaa, I wish I met Tava-Mitram a few years back, because in my entrepreneurial journey, there was nobody to handhold me and to teach me how mental wellness is so important for us. But I'm really grateful that I had my one mentor who really introduced me to this concept of gratitude, which helped me in building self-love for myself, and also help me understand that it's very important to take care of yourself, your mental health. There can be thousand things around you which can affect you, but you yourself have to protect your thoughts. So that's where I wish I would have met Tava-Mitram back then my journey would have been way better. So mental wellness, our mental health is our priority, and I'm really happy and glad that I can contribute here, in helping people build this mental wellness strength through the power of gratitude. So I'm really looking forward to the whole discussion we're going to come up with.
Thank you so much, Shraddha. It's really kind of you. Thank you. Yes, Swarita, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. So I think essentially we're all made up of mass and energy, and whatever any of us aspire to create in our world, whether it's personal or professional, it deals with, I think, tapping into your strengths and your spirit, and leaning into the more of the positive energy space, the more resourceful space. If any of us want to voluntarily help, or as a part of our path, be a catalyst, then it's even more important that we take care of ourselves. So nurturing your inner space, doing it on a conscious and everyday basis, because it comes and goes. I think all of us deal with insecurity. So I think it's directly translated to realizing one potential and having a healthier self-image. So I'm very happy to co-create with everyone here, all of us very powerful, very strong, lovely, wonderful professionals. And to see how we can inspire, how we can actually be a catalyst through this talk today.
I just love the way you said, we all have insecurities, and all that we have come forward to talk about it, how we can embrace. So beautiful. Thanks for that space, Swarita. Cheryl, over to you.
Thanks, Ekktaa. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, very well, Cheryl.
Okay, great. Yes, so first, congratulations to you and Dr. Paras and Tava-Mitram. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us on this platform to have our voices heard and to be able to share our thoughts with everybody on this topic. It's such it's a topic that's so close to my heart, Ekktaa, because I have such a strong connection to exercising inner beauty. I really think that our beauty comes through our challenges in life, our hardships, our lows, our failings. And coming out of those and rising above those are our true accomplishments in life. I'm also very close to contribution. I really, in the past, wish that I had a platform such as this that I could lean on, that I could look to for support. And so I'm really looking forward to this discussion today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Khushboo, we can't see you. Would you like to? Yes, we can finally see you. Thank you so much. So, Khushboo, would you like to go ahead and say a few words, please?
Oh, yes. To start with, I would say that mental health is something which is extremely important for our life. And to be honest, this is my first time when I'm talking more to do with, mental health and nutrition. So I am excited about it. And I thank Ekktaa and Tava-Mitram for having me, where I could actually, contribute a bit to create awareness that mental health is something, which has a great impact on our emotions, our behavior, our approach towards whatever we are dealing with, the challenges of our life. Because if we don't really take care of that over a period, of course, it is going to, impact our, the productivity at home, or productivity at work, rather, the relationship with our family members or friends or colleagues, and in all this process, as I said, nutrition plays extremely major role, in not just physical fitness, but also in mental health. So, thanks for having me and giving me this opportunity, Ekktaa,
Thanks, Khushboo. I remember the first time when we had, had a conversation, and that at that point of time, the way we had a discussion about how food is associated with mental well-being. And yes, we look forward to have your views. And I want the audience to understand your views too. Thank you so much for joining us. So wonderful, connection here that you all have, gotten in the room, in this space. So let's move on to our today's discussion. And as I move on to today's discussion, I go ahead and ask, audience some questions. So let me just look at audience, and we have wonderful people who have joined us. So let's say a hi to them. We have Shalaka who has said hi. We have Nitesh Shetty who has said hi. Hi Vinita. Hi Kalpana. Hi Nikhil. Good evening. Nikhil has said good evening to everyone out here. We have Dakshita Shroff who has said hi. She's a dear friend of Shraddha, me, I believe in Khushboo. Vinita Gundeja has mentioned such a nice panel. So thank you, Vinita. We have Bhanumati who has mentioned good evening, ladies. So you all can say wave a hi to everyone. because that's a warm welcome to all of you. And yes, let's quickly move on. So our audience, this question is for you. I would be adding this question on the screen. Just give me one moment so that you all can have a look, and please give your answers in the comment section. So here's the first question, which you can see on the screen, and it goes, do you carry the pressure of looking beautiful? Yes or no? So this question is to all our lovely audience, and this is, do you carry the pressure of looking beautiful? So as the audience replies, what do you think, panel members? Do you carry the pressure of looking beautiful? So Deepti is nodding, yes. Okay, what about you, Swarita? What about you, Cheryl? If you ask me, big
Sometimes.
time. What about you, Khushboo? What about you, Shraddha?
Yes, I agree. Oh, knowingly or unknowingly, we are under a pressure of looking beautiful. Uh, you
True.
know,
Very true. It's
family,
always
friends, maybe family or friends kind of tend to compare knowingly, unknowingly. So I think, yes, that's a pressure that a lot of us carry.
true. Very true. Okay, so we have Deepak Nagar who has said hi. Okay, we have Vinita who has said no, she doesn't carry. Fantastic, Vinita. Keep up that great attitude. And I'll move on to the next question before we go ahead and move to our panel. And the next question is, one word that comes to you, audience, when you look in the mirror, please share. If you're comfortable, please share. What is that one word that comes to you when you look in the mirror? You can write it down in the comment section. So when it depends on my mood if I have to share. If I'm in a really good mood, the one word that comes to me is wow. I'm looking so beautiful today. I am so smart today. And the day when I'm really, really low, I don't know what comes in front of me. So it depends upon the mood swings that I carry sometimes. What about you, Cheryl? What is that one word comes to you when you look into the mirror? Can't hear you, Cheryl.
Sorry, I was on mute. Just like you, Ekktaa, it depends on the day, it depends on what happens, what the challenges are. But I think when I look in the mirror, as I've become older and more mature, I'm just grateful for my body and what it can do for me. And I try not to be so focused on the external.
Wow. Nice. Anyone else would like to share? Okay, we have an answer from Advocate Deepti. She mentions, wow, be you. Lovely. That's really nice, Deepti. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else would like to answer from the panel members?
I can answer that one, Ekktaa. So I think because I work in this field quite a bit, and we go a long way. So while it was what I was, a few years back, I think that time there was always this self doubt, and I think a lot of us, as we speak, even in the panel, I think I would love to talk about that. That we always keep second guessing ourselves. Right. But over a period of time, I think the more I see myself in the mirror, the only thing that I tell myself is, you are so stunning. So whether it is on the inside or it's on the outside. So, how that kind of changes your equation with yourself. So I think that's really important.
Thanks for sharing that, Deepti. That was really powerful. Shraddha or Swarita, would you like to share a few words?
Yes. So basically, this has what I have now trained myself to do when I see myself in the mirror. That I tell myself I am awesome. So whenever however I'm looking, but I have trained myself to compliment myself. Prior, I was also in the same boat like you, Ekktaa. I had my own mood swings. The day I had a bad hair day, I would kind of look at myself and say, "What are you looking today?" But over a period of time, being aware about how important my words are to me, I've developed this attitude of appreciating myself. So I say, I even sometimes end up looking at myself and say, I love you, or you are so awesome, or I'm so awesome. So these are two things that I normally frequently do when it comes to admiring your own self when you look into the mirror.
Wow. I have wonderful answers from the audience. We have Mishka Ram Prasad. She's mentioned it depends on the mood as well on my side. So thanks for relating with us, Mishka. We have Vinita who has mentioned I love myself. Wonderful, Vinita. Keep up the great work. Shalaka has mentioned it has been a journey. Now I have a phrase, you're doing great. So thanks for sharing that, Shalaka. Thank you so much. So wow, we have wonderful responses from the audience, and let's quickly move on to our panel discussion. So I believe, let me just get Cheryl in the room. I'm sorry, audience, because of fluctuating network, you can see on and off. I'm really, really sorry for that. So here's to the panel members. I'll just go ahead and add that question on the screen as well. And the first question to the panel members is, how do we define the benchmark of beauty for us? I would request you to start, followed by that, I would request Shraddha, Cheryl, and Swarita. So over to you. I would go ahead and, audience, if you have your own thoughts, your own feedback, you can write it in the comments. I'll just go ahead and add that question on the screen. It is, how do we define the benchmark of beauty for us? So over to you. The floor is all yours, Deepti.
Thanks, Ekktaa. So when we are saying that, how do we define beauty for us? More than, my own perspective, I think there is so much of societal pressure. And if we go back in time, there have been a lot of studies where, we speak about how women were expected to look earlier vis-a-vis how they look now. And I think now over the years, in the last 10 to 15 years, let's say, there is so much pressure also on men to look a certain way. So, in fact, if we look at studies back in, say 1915s, 1920s, healthy women were not as, say, skinny as they are now. So if you, if I go to see, even say 20 years, 25 years back, a person who was like, say, 5'4", a lady who was 5'4", technically, let's say my height, or, I'm 5'5". So if I look at somebody like that, that person would weigh about, say, 65, between 65 and 70 kgs. But now, if I look at a model that height, they are expected to be at least 25 to 40% less than that. So I think the bias of beauty, or, the way we see so much exposure in the media houses, whether it's a billboard, whether it's a television advertisement, or whether it's a fashion house, there is so much that we see, in terms of you need to look a certain way, you need to be, all the time, you need to have clear skin, you need to have, nothing on your face, you need to have makeup for something. So there is so much that is getting marketed out on a day-to-day basis. And, back in the day, if I just look at India as a country, if you think of, the old school movies, if you look at, anything that was before the 70s, you would never find women looking at a size 0 or a size 2 or a size 4. We've had women who have celebrated their curves. And, talking about it, if we look at our scriptures, if we look at, our temples, and, the kind of beautiful carvings that we have over there, you will see that there are so many voluptuous looking women, and nothing has ever been questioned back in the days. But now there is so much that happens, on every platform. There is so much of Photoshop that we go through on our day-to-day lives that, if I just go out, besides the COVID times, if we were going out, I think the amount of, let's say perfect looking women on a particular billboard that I would see in a day, maybe my grandmother would have seen that in 6 months, maybe those many women. And I think it is so much of bombardment in terms of what is the perfect idea of beauty that, it is kind of pressurizing. So I think the benchmark of beauty is something that should be very innately personal to people, and, the way we look. And like I said earlier, the way I think and feel about myself, the way, my inner self tells me, like you said, that, on the days that I'm not feeling good. So there's an inner voice that I think all of us have. But right now, if you look at it, the inner voice is getting, sort of captured or overpowered by what we see. And the world is becoming visual, unfortunately. So, even under image management, when I talk about it, we do look at appearance. And the unfortunate part also is that we stereotype people to, people who look a certain way that fits in, our thought process. So if it is fitting in my thought process as somebody, who's appropriate for job, somebody who's appropriate to look, for this particular modeling assignment, that is what gets selected over somebody who is, even a few kgs here and there, I think gets rejected. And I have heard of so many cases, so many clients who come to you saying that, I'm a little overweight, I'm a little, under the height requirement. So all of these things that are said to people, I think that gives them like a deep scar. And I think that kind of stops them from really looking at, how beautiful they really are, even if they don't have those extra 2 inches of height, or even if they don't have that 5 kg less weight. And, it's really upsetting in a way, because all of these things, they also, and I'm sure Khushboo will talk about it a little later, but all of these things, when we talk to clients, they also give you, just mental issues like these crop up in terms of the way we eat. So when we are talking about clinical disorders like a bulimia, anorexia, or taking substance to kind of look a certain way, or injecting yourself to grow your muscle and things like that, I think there is a lot of bias. This is my personal opinion in terms of how the benchmarking of beauty has been done. So I mean, I can go on talking about this, but right now, if you look at even younger girls, and I've had clients, I've got students that I train who are young mothers, and they've got daughters who are 9 and 10 years old. And we were just talking to one of this lady, and she said that it's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and we were like, okay, so what's the plan? What are you making, and what is she going to be happy about? And she said, I don't have to do much, because she said, please make a coleslaw salad because all of my friends are on a diet. And we were like, excuse me, your daughter is like 9 or 10 years old. And she's like, no, but they're all very conscious about their weight, and they want to look like a certain way. And if you see a lot of these animated movies that we see, so Cinderella or Rapunzel, or anything that they are seeing, all of that is talking about the princess being beautiful, and the negative character looking a certain way. They always make the negative character look so bad that at a very young age. Or am I audible? Am I audible? Yeah. So at a very young age, children are now getting to discriminate between what is beautiful, what is not appropriate, what is the right thing to look at. Even if you see, I have a niece who's 3 years old at home, and these kids are becoming so fashion savvy. They want to, kind of match everything. And there's a lot of this pressure that we also create. So, from the image background, I know that I want to have, things that look well put together. But I think putting that on a child who's less than, say, 10 years old, or 5 years old, I think it's a lot of peer pressure. And then these children, when they grow up, there is so much of mental pressure that they have, that somewhere in the process, I feel their body image and their inner image, which I very closely work on in terms of mental health issues, gets distorted somewhere. They start disliking the way they look, even if it's a kg here and there, or if they have one pimple, they'll make such a big deal about it. Or and I'm seeing that in boys. I mean, there's so much competition, and they want to look a certain way. And when you talk to younger boys who are in the gym, they are constantly taking pictures of how many abs who's got, and there's always this competition. And I think somewhere nobody realizes that there is so much mental pressure that this builds on, because when you can't deliver, you can't compete, and you can't, because everyone's body is different. So, if you can't, have those abs, or you can't have those very well carved shoulders, this person may completely go into a, different mind frame. And I think we need to kind of change the benchmark of beauty. In my personal opinion, we have to start celebrating who we are, and, kind of go less with the photoshopping. And, there's a lot of role, I think, the celebrities, or, the media, or the social media also has to play, because we are there also. We are constantly looking at edited versions of what beautiful could be. And I think that is also an alarming thing for the society. So being presentable, I think I agree with the fact that we need to be presentable. We need to put our best foot forward, but it doesn't have to be an edited or a photoshopped version of ourselves. I think that's just too much.
I really love the way you put across your thoughts. Clear-cut message through your thoughts, through your words you gave us, that embrace your curves. It's very, very important. Wow, I liked it. And I really appreciate the fact how you address the biases. So thank you so much, Deepti.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go to Shraddha next. Shraddha, your view, please. So just to let the audience know, the question is how do we define the benchmark of beauty?
So yeah, Ekta, again, if you ask me when the word beauty, I started understanding the word beauty. It more or less referred to the external being, the looks, the clothes that you wear, the way you carry yourself, was defined for me as beauty. But somewhere, I think this is how the whole society also looks at things, and there's a lot of pressure. You're supposed to look good, or as if in my case when I was young, my grandmother used to always have a comparison between me and my sister, where my sister is fair than me, so she would always praise her, saying that, oh, she's got such a beautiful skin, she's such a fair. There's always been a constant comparison when it comes to beauty, and that is one thing which also affects an individual, self confidence, its own self image, because of the constant comparison. So either it can be somebody from your family, or you start comparing yourself with, maybe, say, your parents. I have heard this so many times when I started to gain a little bit of weight. I was always constantly compared that your mom has been so lean, and how come you've gained so much of weight? So there is a comparison always which I have seen when it comes to beauty, either in terms of your family or your friends, or maybe even you aspire to look like somebody, or you have a role model, and that also kind of comparison comes in. That say, for example, the actresses that we see on screen, they are shown so glamorous, and they are shown like more desirable. So women, when they also have this feeling that people should desire for them, or they should feel somebody to admire them, they want to kind of go to that kind of a model, a size zero look, or maybe be so lean, uh, considering the way it's been portrayed in the cinema, that if you're like this, then you become desirable, then you will have maybe a lot of guys following you, or maybe you will be kind of acknowledged in your peers. So I think a lot of importance is always given to external beauty, and people tend to benchmark like that. But I think what one should really focus on is the internal beauty, because that is also very important. Maybe somebody who's not looking that good, but is very kind and compassionate, and that is something which is a quality. It's a beauty in itself. So what I really feel is that overall, due to a lot of media, Deepti rightly said, that there's a lot of pressure in terms of social media which has got created, or in terms of peer pressure that has been there around us, to look good, to look slim, to look to look lean, to carry yourself. This needs to be kind of changed. It will only begin when you start accepting yourself the way you are. uh, Even if you are a little on the healthier side, it's okay. But ideally, beauty has been benchmarked to a point where it's got to be the looks, it's got to be how beautiful you are, maybe you how beautiful hair you have. It's more of the physical attributes that people have been referring beauty to. It's time that we start looking beyond physical attributes, and going into more of internal beauty of love, compassion, empathy that people carry, kindness that they carry, along with, I'm not saying that physical beauty is not important, but everybody is beautiful in their own way. Just comparing it with people will not help. It just creates pressure amongst all age groups. When Dipti shared that there is a 9-year-old worried about the diet, it is kind of alarming, because I remember at my 9 years, when I was 9 year, I never thought about diet of food. I was so happy eating everything that was given to me, and I used to look forward for birthday parties. So I think overall, this looking good has been quite hyped up, and that should be kind of uh, should be kind of addressed. It's okay to feel the way you are, to accept yourself, and it's good to look the way you are. That's my thoughts, Ekktaa, on this.
No, I really loved, the last two lines that you mentioned. It's okay to feel who you are and accept yourself the way you are. And very true, one of the biases that you address here is comparison. It definitely impacts how we feel and how we think about us. So that's really a spot on message. Thanks, Shraddha, for sharing. So I'm going to get Cheryl and Swarita in the room to go ahead. Cheryl, please give us your views.
Thanks, Ekktaa. So I have a little bit of a different take on how to benchmark beauty for ourselves. As soon as I saw the question, I looked up the definition of beauty. And if you look it up, it says it's a combination of qualities such as shape, color, or form that pleases the aesthetic senses, especially the sight. And I have to say, I was really taken aback by this definition once I really took it in, and it really sat with me. And I really disagreed with it because it implies that beauty is something that is only visible to the eye. Yet I believe the way we as women and even men should define our benchmark of beauty is by the number of lives we are able to touch every day, and not necessarily the number of eyes we are able to attract every day. When we use appearance as a benchmark for beauty, we tend to carry this burden of the need to conform to everyone else's opinions of what is attractive, what is not attractive. So that could be an overall benchmark. But when we look at our individual selves, that can also be different. So we shouldn't compare the impact we should be able to compare the impact we make today as individuals to the impact we made yesterday and just strive to be better for ourselves. Also, I think some food for thought, some questions we can ask ourselves to define this benchmark of beauty for ourselves is, how can we strive for a deeper emotional connectedness with ourselves and with other people? What small changes are we able to make to the lives of ourselves, to the lives of other people? And I think what's really important here is to think about the legacy that you want to leave. How do you want to exercise your inner beauty in the legacy that you'd like to leave behind one day? Because to me, in my opinion, the only beauty that's really everlasting is the kind that's found within. So I really have a deep purpose in life, Ekktaa, to change the way that we understand this definition of beauty and what society implies and blindly propagates at times about what beauty is. So that's really my thoughts on the question.
I really love the way you brought it up. A wonderful point, Cheryl. You mentioned about it's not about how many eyes we attract, but how many lives we touch. Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much. And I would get in Swarita. And Swarita, please let us know your views, please.
Sure. I think it dates back right from the time that babies are born. There is a certain labeling that happens either implicitly or explicitly in terms of appearance, because that's the only data that's available at that time. So once you know that the kid is healthy, the next thing you go is you judge it on a continuum of beauty versus the other end, which is ugly. Not everybody may say it. But even there is a saying, I think, in different cultures which talks about how mothers look at every child as beautiful, which inherently it kind of overcompensates for the underlying fact that there is a certain association with appearance and how it triggers a certain reaction in people. So for me, I think I look at beauty as one, which is a perception that you hold about yourself and how you look, versus the perception that society and external factors hold. So in that regard, I think when we look at ourselves in the mirror, if there is a certain disconnect from what you see and what you want to see, that's where things get a little tricky, which we would be talking about also in detail when we are looking at the pressure. But the other part that I want to cover and was touched by everybody else here was also in terms of how we define beauty in a very objective way. Historically, it has been different dimension, symmetry and proportionality, flawless. Okay, so and also in terms of the hormonal reaction it has in presentability and desirability. But if I had to break it down, I think it's often synonymous, not correctly, but it's synonymous with perfection and how you want to be seen as perfect in your own eyes or the other eyes, which is the social media image of beauty, which is the risky zone. So I think it's very important that even like social media filters that people apply to correct whatever they think or they fixate on as a flaw in the way they appear is itself is a trend that is headed for sometimes a disaster. So we need to also understand how to actually balance it with the way we understand ourselves and accept the way we are. But having said that, I think there is a certain response that gets created in when you see someone or something that's beautiful at a very cellular and at a very visceral level. In your brain, there is a certain area called the fusiform gyrus, which takes in the visual input and it immediately also links it with the reward and the pleasure, spaces in your brain. So there is a certain neurological association that happens, which is why a lot of times beauty is used for business purposes, branding purposes, presentation purposes. But what I'd like to just kind of close this point with is that yes, there is a certain spectrum of beauty, and while we look at that, that's not all there is. And if we looked on the outside the way we looked on the inside, I think things would be a lot different. So I think with beauty, if it's a happenstance and you happen to be beautiful, then I think it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Thank you, Swarita. It was really, really profound and brilliant the way you brought across the perfection angle and how do we need to think about ourselves. Beautiful. So I'm just going to get everyone in the room, Deepti, Khushboo, everyone. Khushboo, we can't see you. So we have wonderful responses from the audience here. We have Salaka who's mentioned beautiful thoughts. Mishka has mentioned beautiful way of interpreting it. Cheryl, so this one was specifically for Cheryl. Just give me one moment. Cheryl, we can't see you. There is another comment from Max, mentioned amazing Deepti. Shalaka, I love the way you interpreted. I have come to realize that not to give the power to others to define benchmark for you. Lovely. But get the power back in your own hands to have your own definition. Feminine in itself is beautiful. True that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shalaka. It is really powerful. And Ratan has mentioned so true. So thank you. So let's quickly move on to our next, discussion, next question. Cheryl, unfortunately, we are not able to see you. Okay, we can see you. Now we have Cheryl. All right, so here goes our next question, panel members. How can I unburden the pressure of looking thin? Or how can I be comfortable in my own skin? So I'll just go ahead and add that question on the screen. So we can start with Deepti and then followed by Swarita, Cheryl, Shraddha, and Khushboo. So over to you, Deepti.
Thanks, Ekktaa. I think it's such a personal question. I just feel like you just asked me because this whole thing about looking a certain size, I think has hovered my brain for a very long time, and I've kind of been there, done that, and just for the audience, I was born 9.5 pounds, I think, and as a joke, I tell everybody that that's how my journey or my relation with the weight has been. So everybody has always spoken about me being a very chubby kid, or there are all of these episodes that have come along because you were like I think Swarita said, and I agree with her that there are people who are going to talk about you maybe a little positive while you're a kid, and when you're born and you're all like a small puff ball, and these are things that I've heard about myself, and so I'm saying that. But as you grow older and around you there is so much comparison, I think it just puts that much pressure on the brain, and you don't realize it till you look back. And I've had this all my life. I think even in my school I was probably the biggest kid. And even now that I have worked on my health and fitness, because it was coming in the way of work and standing long hours and giving keynote speeches or trainings and things like that, still somewhere sometimes mentally you have this pressure that maybe it's still you thinking that I'm still big in my head, even though physically you have changed. So I think there has to be a lot of self-acceptance, like a lot of people on the panel also said, that you need to have self-acceptance. You need to be self-aware, but you also need to have a lot of self-acceptance and, more than how much you give out, because humanly we want everyone to like us and love us. But I think that is how much love, the expectation that we have from others, we need to start giving that to ourselves. And I think 10 years ago, when I started working on my own self for, the way I appear, and, it really doesn't matter because I've got so much more to myself than just the size that I was. I think that started, changing the game a little bit. Because if you see, there are so many comparisons that are drawn. I was bullied as a child, and I grew up in the north of India, where we all know that people on the road can say anything to you. You can't retaliate because you never know what's going to happen the next second if you retaliate. So there have been so many things that happened, and I became a bully myself in the process, just to combat all of those remarks that were said to me. And somewhere deep down I knew that that wasn't me. And I think unfortunately a lot of people don't get this help at a very early age. But what I would like to say to everyone who's probably watching is, you need to take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Start appreciating, maybe giving yourself a compliment. And this is something what I started doing with myself is tell myself, like I said earlier, that, now the only thing that I look at myself and tell myself is, wow, or you look stunning. And there can never be, a negative thing. So the easiest thing to do is, be the best friend that you can see in the mirror, and maybe give yourselves a compliment to begin with. You can start with a compliment that somebody else has given you about your physical self, because, kind of correlating with that, or the believability of that is higher. And I'm a very strong believer of the fact that your thoughts become things. And, if you give yourself this thought that you are beautiful, you have, let's say, a beautiful face, and there cannot be a comparison that, I have a beautiful face than someone else. It is just acceptance that, I have a pretty face, or, I'm so grateful for the body that I have, or, how much my body can achieve. It can take me through the entire day and it just doesn't stop. And if you tell yourself all of these things, I think it is much easier for us to kind of, focus on or go beyond the size element and still be able to truly enjoy who we are and, celebrate the body that we have. Because, of late, I've been having this conversation with a lot of people who've come to me speaking about how their weight bothers them. And I know personally also on that journey, I know that your size continuously bothers you because of this competition that we have on the outside. But the thing that I've told people is, you are so mad at your body, or you're so mad at yourself, and, you go on these crazy diets up and down, and, someday I will do weight training, someday somebody tells me and I start running on the road like a, wildcat. And, these are things that we do because we are just mad. We don't know what to do. But my simple question is that, rather than me being mad at my body, shouldn't my body be mad at me for putting myself through so many highs and lows? That, it's still surviving the pressure of what I'm putting it through. But, it doesn't complain. It still goes ahead, doing whatever. It's like, that whole servant and master relationship that you have with your body. And it's just going on serving you. But for how long is it going to do that? So I think, I have shifted from the whole fact of looking at myself on the weighing scale. Because, I've come to terms, and over a period of time, after looking at, what really fitness is, or what really, your health is, and that whole size doesn't matter kind of thing, a number on, let's say, a garment, like a size, 0 or a 2 or a 4, or wanting to fit in that particular size, because I work with clients in terms of, getting them clothes and things like that. I've seen them go through a mental pressure the minute they say, oh, I've become a size 10 now. I was the 8. And I'm thinking, really, is that so bothersome to you? It's just like, a few inches. And they're like, no, now I need to run more on the treadmill. And, it's not funny. I mean, if I would say that, because I know where that thought is coming from. But I think we need to stop looking at ourselves as a number. Because the minute you drink water, and there's so many people who have the habit, they would get up in the morning, have a glass of water, immediately they're going to go and stand on a weighing scale. I mean, obviously, you drink a glass of water, your weight is going to show some grams, because that's how the number game works. And it kind of demotivates you, and you are just beating yourself up, saying, oh my god, I have gone 200 grams extra, I have become 20 grams extra. Now what's the point of doing this diet? It's not working. And you kind of put yourself under that pressure. So I think the easiest way to look at your size or your weight is to probably not look at the weighing scale, but look at how you think and feel about yourself on a day-to-day basis. And to support that, I don't know how many people here would follow Rujita, but I was just seeing her video where they've also presented a paper or some kind of information saying that there are people who may look bigger, but metabolically their age or their metabolic health is much better than somebody who's leaner. And that could just be because you are constantly looking at yourself as a plus size, big size, or a certain size, whatever size may be. But if you have a good balance between the way you think about yourself, I think that whole pressure of being a certain size, because I'm talking from a plus size point of view because I've been there, but I know of a lot of people who are underweight, and I think that struggle is also very real. I mean, a lot of people would go to them and say, oh, you're so blessed, at least you can wear whatever you want. And the only thing this person is thinking, no, but I don't like this size, and I don't want to be this size. So I don't think it is weight issues or looking thin or looking fat is only limited to a certain size, but I think it just goes across. And now I see that even in men. And I think, like I said earlier, the pressure on men is so real. And I mean, it's funny, but if you look back on all our Indian matrimonial proposals, they've always been looking for a fair, smart, long-haired, thin girl and things like that. And people come back, and there have been so many girls I've had this conversation with, and they would say, why don't they advertise something like this for men now, saying, want a fair, tall, six-pack ab kind of a guy. And I mean, I'm just thinking, God forbid if that day has to come. And the kind of pressure women are dealing with right now, that will just go to the other gender as well. And I think it's not healthy for the society. So I truly believe you have to start thinking and feeling, very safe and very nice about yourself, starting with that compliment. And once you start complimenting yourself, you tell yourself, you don't compare yourself to anybody else, but you tell yourself that you're really, looking good or feeling better and things like that. And I think mentally, when there is no pressure or no weight, mental weight on your mind, you will start to even lose that on the body, if that is bothering you so much, because you're in a more happier space mentally. And I have, because I've personally been through that, and there is a little bit of scientific equation with when you are feeling that great and you're putting mental pressure, your hormones are going to go up and down. And especially as women, we all know what happens when the cortisol shoots up because of stress, the estrogen shoots up because of stress. There is going to naturally be bloating on the body, which is going to reflect on the scale. So, people don't realize this equation, and they're just talking about a gram here and grams there. And, but I think really this needs to stop, because the only repercussion of this, and I'm guessing you'll agree with me that, what happens is, over a period of time, if you've been a certain weight, even if you lose that weight, or if you've been, let's say underweight and you put on weight, the mental scarring is so much. And I've got goosebumps while I talk to you about this, because I've gone through this myself for so long, that even if people tell you on the outside that you're looking fitter, it kind of doesn't resonate. And you're just saying, no, but I think I've reached where I want to be, but I fail to see how far have I come. Yeah. So, I mean, I still have goosebumps while I talk about this, but, I think it's for everybody. It's really for everybody. And it may not just be weight, it could also be the hair. It's always, what I've seen is, people don't really like what they have. So somebody who has lighter skin wants a, ski complexion. Somebody who's got curly hair wants straight hair. Somebody who has straight hair wants curly hair. Somebody who's tall wants to be short. Somebody who's short wants to be tall. So the physicality of each individual is, so comparative, and it is compared so much that, everybody from, I think, even parents, and I tell this to all the people that I meet, that do not compare your children, because that is where it starts building. Because the day my parent says something that strangers have been saying, it just becomes a validation for me. Because as we grow up, we, like, you would tell a child that don't take this from the stranger, don't talk to them, don't take a chocolate, come back and validate from me if I can take it. So children have this quality to think that, okay, if my parent is saying something, that's going to be right. So if I've gone to someone's house and they say you're a chubby kid, and my mom says, oh yeah, she's chubby, it's a validation for me. And then I start connecting chubby with fat. And then the next time somebody says this to me, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, even my mom thinks I'm fat. And my mom also said that I was not the prettier looking kid between me and my sister, or something like that. And these comparisons can stay with you forever. Like I've seen so many clients when I'm talking.
You just nailed it. I would rather say, I know this is your personal experience and you're coming from there. So very valid point. And what you just now mentioned about getting that validation from your own parents, sometimes how that scar remains with you forever. Bingo! I really love that point that you came across. And yes, based on your suggestion, I would like to tell myself and the audience as well that number game is about Nifty and Sensex, not about the weight and standing on the scale. Thank you. Thank you so
Let's
much.
not play those games ourselves. It's a mind game. I think let's not play that.
True.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you. Swarita, over to you, Swarita.
Sure. So I think it ties in very beautifully with what I wanted to share as well about this. So as we know that beauty standards have been evolving, and if you look at the way that it's been defined, and we've seen it through a lot of examples shared by everyone here, it's very arbitrary. So we can't really go by what the standard defines. So fair skin, Caucasian features, skinny, tall, all of that was considered beautiful. Even the representation of that in movies and the kind of objects or dolls or all of that was very heavily branded. And then it changed, and there has been more of a representation of Asian and Indian cultures, even cinematically speaking. So there is more of a mass appeal for those who have a mixed race feature as compared to very inbred families. So that has been changing, and it's very, very hard to predict it or even go by it like 100% seal. So where do we see that this is shaping is also there are certain ages where we see that we are very, very vulnerable as compared to when we are really, we've seen the world, we've been exposed to different experiences, and we have a sense of self. But when that sense of self is very ambiguous and it's confusing, and we keep latching onto things that we identify with as role models, or that is impressive, or we idealize, or is an idealization of beauty, then that's where things go for a spin, which is where we've seen, I think Deepti mentioned, that there are a lot of disorders that come about as well. There is a lot of self-loathing, which is very, very sad, but it's pretty rampant, especially in the teenagers. That's where, we have people who come up sometimes as bullies, and sometimes you have certain flaws, certain, negatives or limitations that are very heavily pounced or preyed on, which brings about a sense of, also there's a condition called body dysmorphic disorder, which I think a lot of us are familiar with or may have read about it, which is about how you see yourself, and it kind of spirals. So it's very important for us to look at where this is happening, where it's shaping, because this is the age where also these decisions are made as to go under the knife, get a cosmetic surgery, change what is considered as not perfect, not good enough. And there is an obsession that comes with the external appearance and how you present yourself. So I think that's where we need to kind of tap into. And it's not just social media. I wouldn't just blame social media, but I think it's also important to see the influences from family, from school, from friends, from other avenues where there is a constant messaging that comes in. And what is that messaging, and how do we appreciate, how do we lean into the strengths and the powerhouses? And we have a lot of role models to identify there as well, right from, Nirmala Sitharaman, which is a very recent thing, to the Fogart sisters, to Oprah, to Maya Angelou. We have it across the globe where they come with a certain understanding of who they are, their sense of self. And that's where we need to actively have a self mechanism, our own feedback mechanism, irrespective of what media feeds us. So what I'd like to really emphasize on is, one, yes, we understand that we need to improve, We need to be more of who we are and enhance ourselves. So self-improvement is something that we all aspire for. But while that is the case, we also need to, the starting place needs to be self-acceptance and how we see ourselves. And with that, the kind of messaging, the critical voice in our head, I think we need to kind of pull down, and also not take ourselves too seriously, because that's where then the humor is lost. So be natural, be you. That's what I'd like to emphasize.
I loved it. Be natural, be you. Thanks for that, Swarita. Cheryl, over to you.
Thanks, Ekktaa. So I have quite a personal view on this question as well. I have a medical condition that's called insulin resistance. And for those of you watching who don't know what it is, it's basically a condition where your body can't really process or absorb glucose effectively. And so you have very low energy. It's very easy to gain weight. And it can also lead to diabetes if it's not managed effectively. And so from the time I was about 15, I really struggled with being overweight. And while it was not extremely significant, it was enough for me to make me resent my body and the way that I looked. And this was mostly, I'd say, between the ages of 16 and 21, where all the other girls I knew or my friends were like super slim. And I always thought they'd never know what it feels like to be, trapped in your own body or in your own skin. And I felt like it was completely out of my control. And at that time, I would put myself under so much pressure, dieting, yo-yo dieting, making sure that I work out intensely for up to an hour every single day, just to make sure that I was thin, that I was skinny. And, I thought that that's what would make me happy at the time. But as I matured, I realized in life that to move forward and to be happy, I had to be grateful for my body keeping me going, for my body keeping me alive and allowing me this opportunity to experience all that life has to offer. And what it was just a change in perspective that I think I needed. And I also want to emphasize here that I don't think that it's a once-off solution. Up till today, I still have my mental and emotional challenges with it. But every day it's a gratitude thing. I have to make sure that I exercise gratitude for my body and for what it can do for me. And I've had a completely mental shift to, for example, today I had back-to-back deliverables. I wasn't able to get an hour's workout in, so I got a 20-minute workout in. And that alone, that 20 minutes was great for my mental health. I'm happy. And today I choose happiness over putting myself under that stress, putting my mind under that strain. And I think as my mental health has progressed and my spiritual journey's progressed, I've learned to focus on what matters most, and that is health and all the non-visible qualities that we as individuals have to offer.
Thanks. Yes, Shraddha.
So, I am not good enough. It gives out a sign that that says that I am not good enough, which means you're not accepting yourself. Again, when you say you're not good enough, it comes from things that we take granted for. So if you're not grateful for what you have, you take things for granted, and that is where you lose the whole grip of what you have. And this is what I personally use for myself, because I also go through all these challenges that all of you guys have been mentioning. What I normally do is I divert my thoughts to what I have. See, I have hands, I have eyes which help me see, I have good hair which makes me look beautiful. I just completely shift my thoughts to thought becomes things, and this shift helps me doing by giving the bit of what I have. So I would would really, it really works for me. It really has worked for me. I would really recommend this to all of you guys. If you are weight related or health related, putting your focus to what you want or what you already have, because where our focus goes, where the attention goes, is where the energy flows. So if start giving the right energy to our body is capable of giving us everything that we. It's just being happy in your skin by slowly and expressing gratefulness for whatever you have. Like the way Cheryl also said, you got to be grateful for what you have, and this has helped me in controlling my weight or controlling my hair loss or making me look more beautiful, get more clearer skin. It's just the small shift of my attitude from what I don't have, or creating a pressure on myself of not looking too fair, or not having the long hair, to appreciating everything that I have, and my body just kind of gives me back in multifolds good health and everything that I want. So that's my take on the whole uh, acceptance part.
No, I really love the way you brought across, Shraddha, even most of you. It's just not about, being thin or fat. It's also about my skin color. It's also about my hair. Got to be comfortable with what I have. So thank you so much. Khushboo, we are waiting to hear from you. So over to you, Khushboo. Khushboo, we can't hear you. You're on mute, I guess.
Can you hear? All right.
Yes.
So,
please go ahead.
so I am also waiting for to give some insights on this, and in fact, few of the pointers are already been discussed by Deepti, Cheryl, Shraddha. So, just to keep it short, I would just say, or I would suggest first and foremost that you put away your weighing machine wherever it is at your place, because having a weighing machine makes us so obsessed about weight that we consider weight as the only factor to either celebrate life or celebrate our body, or we think that weight is the only factor for being fit. So that's something we need to work on. Second thing is nourish your body with nutrients, just not to manage weight, but also to overcome the complaints of, say, irritability, or, having a frequent hunger pangs, or, you're craving for any sweets, or even there's a hair fall, or, dryness of skin, feeling lethargic or low on energy the whole day. Because losing weight or being thin, doesn't make any sense if you have these complaints as well. So, as I said, and again, weight is not just about, your calories, but it's also about the nutrients. So that's something that you need to work on, considering only as a weight as a factor to, as a factor for being fit. Third thing, which is again extremely important that we need to remember, is, there's something called as a metabolic rate. And that is one of the reasons, like, we need to stop comparing ourselves not only with others, but also we need to stop comparing ourselves with how we used to look, maybe say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago. The reason is there is something called as a metabolic rate, which I think even Deepti covered this point, that this has a strong connection or has a strong role in fat loss. So higher the rate is, faster would be your fat loss. Now, remember that this particular rate, it decreases with the increase in age. Okay, now that doesn't mean you can't really lose weight or you can't be fit. You can still, but could be the process a little slow. So we need to be a bit patient while we are in the journey of transformation. This rate again decreases if there's a lack of protein in our diet. And in fact, there is a study which clearly has said that we Indians actually are deficient of protein, and in fact, more than 70% of our Indian population are. Forget about this statistic. I would ask you all, like, whoever, how many of us actually had a source of protein in each of our meal night? I don't think there's more than, say, 5 or 10% of population listening to us, or the audience listening to us. Third thing, which is extremely important, is again physical activity. So, your metabolic rate, it decreases if there's a lack of physical activity. So, again, when I see patients in my clinic and when I recommend them to go for maybe say 45 minutes or 30 minutes of exercise, they would start bargaining with me saying that, can I just go for 15 minutes of exercise, or instead of, all 7 days a week, can I just go for 3 days a week? So we have only weight as a per se, or weight in our mind, but we are not really aware much of what are the other factors that we can work upon, something that's modifiable. So instead of saying weight only as a factor, I would say start focusing even on the other factors. And as I said, weight is not just about the calories, it's also about the nutrients. We need to overcome even the complaints which I just discussed upon. And also at the same time, make sure that instead of keeping an unrealistic goal, set a realistic goal with the proper the timeline, because I see a lot of patients who come to me keeping the goal, the health goal, saying that I want to lose maybe around 7 kgs of weight in just 20 days. That's not something real that they are keeping. So they need to set a realistic goal. They need to other factors which we just discussed, even the medical conditions. We need to work on instead of having.
Looks like we're losing Khushboo. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thanks.
Can you all hear me?
Wonderful. Yes, we can. Thanks, Khushboo, for sharing. I really love the part that you mentioned about, we've got to take care of the protein, we've got to take care of the nutrients, and not compare ourselves, the way that I was carrying a couple of years ago. Maybe my voice is echoing. I guess please put yourself on mute. So thank you everyone for contributing your views on this particular aspect, and this is something which is needed. About accepting ourselves the way we are. Only being in harmony with my own self. Wonderful experiences that you all individually brought in, your own life experience. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerable space. Really, really appreciate it. Now, moving on to the next question, and the next question I would request you all to to come up with a quick 1 minute or 1.5 minute discussion. And this is a very important question, which is, what is internal beauty and how does it matter? So probably, Cheryl, we can start with you, followed by that Shraddha, Swarita, and Deepti. So I'm just going to place all of you on the screen, and Khushboo and I, we're going to back off. So you can start, Cheryl, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Ekktaa. So, Ekktaa, I believe that we find inner beauty in the choices we make in everyday life. Inner beauty is experienced through one's character rather than physical appearance. So whether it's a word of encouragement, a hug, returning a smile to a stranger, or speaking honestly, you can create a strong connection with others just through the vulnerability of being yourself. And I believe it's the grace and the pure essence of one's soul that really radiates outwardly, however it's found or it originates within. So something that I firmly believe in is that everyone has a unique inner beauty, and we are able to access it when we operate from a place of light. Excuse me. So what is this place of light, you may ask? To me, it's the result of the contentment of knowing who we are. And how do we find out who we are? So this for me is an excavation process. It's feelings, your opinions, your hopes, your dreams. Do you know what scares you? Do you know what you find hope in? How do you love and care for others? What truly ignites your soul? So I'm going to relate this to my own personal story just to clarify my view on this question. So the last few months, during my studies of psychotherapy, it's involved doing a lot of personal work and reflections of myself, and the personal growth that I've witnessed and just the joy that it's given me is so profound. I met a friend the other day who noticed this and said that she's noticed such a major shift in my energy. As an example, I'm usually more introverted than extroverted. I'm not known to be extremely social, and in fact, I think I prefer spending a lot of time alone. When I did interact previously, especially with people that I didn't know well, I wouldn't be 100% comfortable. But over the last 2 or 3 months, I'd say, I've noticed myself gravitating towards connecting more and more with people I didn't know, either socially or professionally. And I've noticed that this discomfort somewhat disappearing. There's a sense of calmness and there's a sense of peace that I operate from. And I truly believe that this is a result of the inner work that I've done and now knowing who I am. That's resulted in this sort of divine unfolding of my life. And I want to say that now I believe that I operate from a place of simple abundance and just abundance of knowing who I am, and a place of contentment and joy. But mostly, I would say it's been this transition of love for myself, acceptance of who I am. And this is the light that I was talking about a little bit earlier that I feel guides me. It's allowed me to be more confidently and authentically myself and really just have this confidence to occupy a space in the world that's specifically reserved for me. I really feel that each individual is a mosaic of unique gifts, and we each have our own unique inner beauty, regardless of how we look or where we may come from. And this journey of discovery for me has freed up so much of my time and energy to just focus on what matters most. And for me, that is how can I serve myself best? How can I serve others best? How can I improve myself? And it's really had such a profound effect on my mental health and my self-esteem. I'm vulnerable, yet I'm also strong and more confident. And I'd say 10 times more emotionally connected to others. And I think when you find your space in this world, it's such a rejoice when this transformation happens, as you come out of a state of thinking that your life is lived based on others' opinions, but rather on your own opinion.
Thanks, Cheryl. I will request the rest of you quickly give us, 1 or 2 lines from your end.
Sure. I so resonate with what Cheryl just mentioned, and for me also, I feel the internal beauty is got to do with looking somebody beyond the physical attributes. It's more of looking at the person's feelings, or maybe with the actions which they do. I mean, they can be more kind. If somebody, it's like not looking at from the skin color or hair or body perspective, but from actions, from their way of kindness, compassion, empathy that they show towards people around them. For me, internal beauty is that. And it is very important, because I know it's quite an old and a cliche dialogue which says that our skin, the way we look, stays for a period of time. After a point, it all goes away. You don't really, I'm not going to remain the way I am right now for the rest of my life. This is, as I get matured, things will change on my external, but what I am from internal, my soul, my spiritual side it's always going to grow the more I nurture it. So to end it up in this in one single line is that internal beauty is what matters more than what you are from outside. I would like to hand it over to Swarita.
Right, I think I'll just link everything. We don't want to overlap, but I really love the way all of us are in sync with the understanding of inner beauty. So I think across beauty is associated with also beautiful mind. Like there's a very nice movie based on that, which also talks about someone who did carry a few faults in terms of his mental functioning, but he was intellectually brilliant in other regards. Which also goes to show that while we are made up of mind, body, and soul, the body only serves so much of a purpose, and it's not for us to fixate too much only on that. While we need to be, so it's style and substance, somewhere we need to balance that. So while we need to present ourselves in the right manner, in the right light, project the real self, but with the agenda also in mind. But we also need to focus on the inner beauty in terms of grooming yourself internally, your intellect, reading more, learning more. I think being open to feedback, to different experiences, really appreciating the finer things in life, and keep building yourself and keeping yourself curious. The other element that I really wanted to bring is none of this is possible unless and until we are physically healthy. So your health, your fitness, nourishment in terms of what you, so it's garbage in, garbage out, whatever you eat, whatever you consume in terms of the news, in terms of information we process, in terms of who we talk to, the kind of energy that goes in is what is also reflected on the outside. So we need to be a little more conscious of what happens there. And another thing I want to touch on is a happy person is very beautiful. So it's important for us to touch on that element also because we have a certain self-preservation culturally. Women were not allowed to earlier express their laughter or their anger openly. Even in certain organizations, it's kind of frowned upon. Whereas men were not allowed to express their sensitive side as openly because it was again judged. So those cultural stereotypes, of course, are changing. So with that, I think we also need to look at how we are evolving towards a more a kind of a balance between the masculine and the energy, the feminine energy that we carry within. So that's, I think, more important. So to be able to laugh openly, freely, being more authentic with your emotions, with your thoughts, being, sitting in your own truth of yourself, that for me is true beauty.
Yes, Deepti, over to you.
Great. I think without taking much time, Ekktaa, I think, these great pearls of wisdom that all three of them have shared, and, they've kind of put it as a beaded neck piece that needs to be on everyone's mind all the time, I think, like a tiara. So you can actually wear it. And, I think what everybody said sums it up as, it's an inner outer beauty kind of a thing. And what's on the inner self, your body image or what you think of yourself is eventually going to come out, and it is going to develop into your self-esteem, self-worth. So I wouldn't take too much of my talk time here, because I know that you might have a lot of other things to discuss, but I think I completely agree with what Cheryl and everybody else has said on this platform so beautifully. So I think I will give it. Is Khushboo speaking on this as well? I can see her on
I have
camera.
a question for Khushboo, because that question exclusively is for Khushboo. So thanks, Deepti. Thanks for sharing.
Oh,
So I am directly
so
going to
much.
jump on to the next question, Deepti. Khushboo, the screen is all yours, because the next question I really wanted that to come from an expert. And the next question is, association of food with health and beauty. Having a guilt-free life. Enlighten us. So we just want to listen to you. Khushboo, you're on mute. Khushboo, you're on mute. We can't hear you. So I'll just put the question on the screen, Khushboo, for you.
All right. So to first, let me highlight this point with saying that to nourish our body or to be fit or to have those glowing, you don't really need to have, just a salads or a soups or go on a carbohydrate-free diet or a fat-free diet or maybe a keto diet, because remember, that's something which you can't really sustain on throughout. First, that's extremely important to make a note of. Second thing is to nourish your body. I'll share a small tip with you all to make sure that we are eating a wholesome food or we are eating a nutritionally balanced food. In case you all have any queries related to that, to just discuss on few recipes to make it more healthy, feel free to send that message to us. Now, remember, whenever you're having your major meals, like either your breakfast, your lunch, or your dinner. I'll give you an example of lunch. Always make sure that you take a smaller plate, okay? Because sometimes having a bigger plate makes us feel more guilty of not eating or doing justice to ourselves by not filling it enough with the other foods. We think that we are starving ourselves, so take a smaller plate, because portion control is extremely important, whether it's your healthy food and of course your unhealthy food too. Now, you need to divide this plate into two halves, divide in 50-50%, and make sure the half of the plate you fill it with the vegetables, which can be a combination of, say, your raw vegetable or a cooked vegetable, or even just a cooked vegetable is absolutely fine. Try avoiding, to have only raw vegetable, like that much quantity of it, because sometimes in few cases it may contribute to bloating, having that much of fiber altogether, especially in the raw form. The second half of the plate, you divide it further into two quarters. Now, 1/4 of the plate, or say 25% of your plate, can be, say, either cereals, or could be a whole grain like your wheat, or can be a rice, or even millets. In fact, we Indians are blessed to have millets, which has got a lot of micronutrients in it. Your vitamins, minerals, even compared to the other cereals, like compared to your rice, in fact, those are very high on even fiber. So, 25% of that can be either of those. The remaining 25, or the 1/4 of the plate which we are left with, you fill it with a core source of some protein, which can be, say, either legumes, or could be your pulses, or those who eat non-veg. So they can add some lean meats like either fish or chicken, or some poultry like egg can be included. So those who love having soya bean, that can also be a source of protein. So make sure, and along with that, make sure that you have either a glass of buttermilk, or a bowl of curd, or a yogurt, preferably the unflavored ones. So if you're having your meals, like your major meals specifically, this makes sure that you are eating a nutritionally balanced meal. Now, when I talk about that, as I said, you don't need to cut down on any of the nutrients, including your fat, including your carbohydrate. You need all these nutrients, because these have got a lot of major roles in our body, which I'll not go more in detail, just to save on time. The second important thing that you need to do is pre-plan your evening snack. Now, the reason for evening snack is, evening snacks are usually the killer. We eat everything healthy the whole day. In all our meals, we make sure that we have whatever the plate method that I discussed with, but evening snack, if we don't really plan well, we often, crave for a lot of processed food, specifically like your biscuits or breads, your farsans or chips, fried item, all these comes into picture. So just a simple tip that, you switch your processed food, including those in the name of diet food, because often when we have a diet food, we often go overboard on the portion size, because as I said, that anything excess is not really good. We need to watch our portions, including for healthy, food options. Now, your evening snacks, as I said, you can just switch these processed food with a simple local, snacks, like it could be either your, say, roasted gram, or roasted chana, or your roasted peanuts. Preferably go for unsalted ones. You could have like an egg for an evening snack, either in the boiled form or an omelette form, and including, again, you could again make sure that you don't throw the yolk. Even yolks are again extremely important for our body, because it has got a lot of other nutrients as well. But you just stick to a portion of not more than one whole egg per day, because again, as I said, we need to restrict on the portion of the other nutrients as well. Or sometimes you could even have, say, roasted makhana, or which is your lotus nut. Sometimes puffed rice can be one of the good options. For somebody who loves having warm snack for the evening time, they could have like either a savory pancake, which is your chila, or a dosa, or a idli. Somebody like from the Gujarati side, they could have either dhokla, khandvi. So there are n number of options that you could opt for. It's just that you need to pre-plan things. And as I said, specifically for your evening snack, and again, whenever you're feeling, this is again one of the quick tips that you need to, work on, or you could start implementing on. Whenever you're hungry, again, specifically either for, in fact, that I would say go for even for your major meals, drink 1 to 2 glasses of water always, and wait for some time, because often, our brain perceives thirst as hunger. So, again, there comes as a question to include a question for portion size. So that's something that we need to work upon, and make sure that you take one step at a time, because, doing everything all together, whatever I just discussed on, if you start doing everything together, it may be too overwhelming, or you may land up doing nothing, because it's more about changing your behavior. I always say, and in fact, that's one of the roles of the dietitian. So it's not just about giving a diet plans to them, but also hand holding them, educating them, empowering them, because there are so many options around and so many marketing gimmicks that are there, that often people get confused of so many information. So as I said, just go for these small tips, and as I said, to nourish, you don't really need to starve yourself. You don't need to cut down on any specific food. You can still experiment with so many food options around. The one which I just discussed, the plate method, you could in fact start implementing on this. You can experiment a lot. You could add variety to your food, and trust me, eating healthy, tasty food also can help you achieve your health goals. So it's not so difficult. It's just too much of information around over internet or marketing that making things worse. Otherwise, it's really, trust me, it's really simple, and you can live a guilt-free life.
Thank you so much, Khushboo. That those simple tips, how we can make our meal really interesting. That was really wonderful. Let me also tell the best part that you addressed was the evening part. Yes, that's where the problem lies. I will share one of my guilty pleasures, pani puri. So what you mentioned is absolutely, we need to plan things in advance. Like Khanvi and Dokla is one of the best resources that we can have.
Again, portion control. Yeah. Portion control is extremely important, because usually in the name of diet food, we tend to overboard on that, and we think that something is healthy. We keep on eating that. But as I said, anything in excess is not good for our health. You need to watch your portion for that.
Very true. Thank you so much for sharing that, Khushboo. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your views. And coming that from an expert really makes a lot of difference. Thank you so much.
Thank
so,
you.
I know we are running way behind our schedule. We've crossed that bar. So, a last quick question to everyone. Maybe can you please put yourself on mute before? So, last quick question to everyone, and this is the need of the hour. Maybe an action plan for me, for all the audience who are listening, from you guys. If you really have to, and I know Shraddha coming from the background of gratitude, even Cheryl mentioned about gratitude. I really want to understand, how can I exercise gratitude towards self? How do I celebrate being me? So, maybe I can start. Swarita, why don't you go ahead and share your views, followed by Khushboo, then Cheryl, Shraddha, and Deepti. A quick, 2-3 liners, please, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think the first and the most important thing is ownership. I think we need to take ownership for the kind of person we feel within ourselves. And that also means that we don't get too influenced by a lot of new beauty campaigns like, let me be unconventional. There is the no shaving, there's the plus size, and, they try to kind of represent those audiences. But there are certain things we can't change about ourselves, but there are things that we can take conscious control of, including the way we eat, and the way we rest, and all of those daily processes. So that is very, very important for us. That's the other extreme. On the other hand, what I would like to touch on is I think we need to have a sense of forgiveness towards ourselves, and let go of all the baggage, all the burdens, all the toxic energy that we carry within ourselves, because that itself keeps constantly playing as a tape in our mind, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not enough. And that keeps undermining our strengths. So if I want to step into my inner beauty and my true sense of self and confidence, I think I need to really accept and forgive and let go of certain things. And also treat people based on behavior, their trust. That's the ugly side of beauty, that we tend to judge people based on their appearance. So if we want to be treated with kindness and gentleness, which is not a weakness, it's a strength. It takes a lot of courage. But if we want that treatment for ourselves, I think it's important for us to carry that same torch and that same light for others that we interact with.
Khushboo, over to you. Khushboo, you are on mute. Khushboo, we can't hear you. You are on mute.
All right, can you all hear me? Okay. All right. So let me start with this that, don't be too harsh on yourself. Instead you count your blessings, because trust me, nothing comes easy. Everything takes time. And specifically, if it is something to do with changing of your behavior, your thought process, or, your approach, say, for example, even towards food, it does take time. So you just need to be consistent with whatever good that you're doing. Be a little patient. As I said, things take time. And in case during your journey, if you get stuck anywhere, don't hesitate to ask for help. You could see any of the professionals, because this can help you, to not lose weight, motivation, because often seeing failure, we do get demotivated. So make sure you ask for help. And at the same time, as I said, those professionals can give you more right direction. Not everyone is perfect. I mean, everybody has some or other flaws. So we need to go together. And that's all that I want to say. I mean, just count your blessings. That's it.
Cheryl, Shraddha, Deepti, can we hear from you quickly?
Sure. So the one tip, I'll keep it short. The one tip that works for me that I'd like to share is that we need to learn to keep our glass full in order to sustainably exercise our inner beauty, in order to constantly stay grateful for what we have, and to celebrate ourselves. And I think that whether it's taking a good rest at regular intervals, whether it's relaxing with a book, a series, or doing a course, whatever it may be that brings you calm and peace and that re-energizes you, I think that that's my tip to do that, to help us ensure that our inner beauty that we exercise is sustainable.
All of my fellow panelists have said a lot of things, and it all really works what they have said. I'd just like to add one more small point, and that is appreciate your own self. You tend to sell yourself while you are pursuing to look good, to feel good internally, but don't sell yourself short. Appreciate your own self. You need that appreciation for yourself to grow. So that I would really request all of you to do it, so that you develop a strong inner self and acceptance to your own self. So that's all I have to say. Over to you, Deepti.
Thank you, Shraddha. I think I agree with everything that everybody said, and I couldn't agree more with what Shraddha said. And I think, it is so much more important to change the words that you're feeding yourself. I mean, my take on this is, all the can'ts and don'ts, and, rather than talking to yourself about what you're not or what you can't have, I think if we switch that to, what I have, what I can do, what I will be able to do, that brings in a lot more clarity and peace, and you'll see that all the hurdles in your path will start to move away automatically. Practice a lot of self-love. It is not selfish to put yourself first, and I've always told everybody that you need to be the most important person in your life. Cannot be anybody else. There cannot be a guilt to say my child is more important, my husband is more important, my family, my parents are more important. It has to be you. Because once you take care of yourself well, you are capable of taking care of everything else. And also, in the image management thought process, we also speak about, your appearance, whether it's inner or outer. The way you affects the way you think and feel first about yourself. And then how you, act and behave, dress and things like that. And then how other people react and respond to you. So we usually, as human beings, we think that, we can't control what other people think about us. But we always have the authority to control or to influence the way people think about us by first controlling what we think about ourselves. So I think my message is that, you should always take notice of what you're you're thinking and feeling about yourself. And I think then everything else just snowballs or, takes effect, and everybody around you is going to definitely see that change.
Wow, that was really, really brilliant. What I can also feel is, one of the biases has been broken today. When women come together, all they do is gossip. Never. One of the bias and stereotypes can be broken today, where all women coming together and actually talking about self-acceptance, talking about self-love, self-respect, self-esteem, so many things that you shared in various ways. Thank you so much. There's a wonderful message that I have taken it for myself, listening to all of you. Yes, we're on the top of the hour, so I'm going to quickly wind this. As a conclusion or a message to my, whatever I've heard, I would say is you all have given wonderful insights. What I could conclude is accepting self is the first and most important step for our mental well-being. We all are unique. That's why no single person, is the same. Being me is my specialty. So a beautiful message from the panel member here is unburden the pressure of being perfect and embrace the glorious mess you are. So, one quick quote that by Brent Brown, that resonates with my thoughts right now is talk to yourself like, you talk to someone you love, and see the magic it creates. Because what you feed in your brain, what you tell your brain, it will be reflected on the outer. So as we are on the close of the hour, a quick, a closing statement from each one of you so that I can go ahead with the closing. I know there is a lot that you guys have to share. Maybe we will have some other panel discussion someday because they're wonderful and brilliant inputs. And I really want to congratulate each one of you. So maybe a quick closure from all of you, one by one. So we can start probably, with Khushboo. We can go ahead with you, Khushboo.
So I strongly believe that healthy lifestyle, not just being a dietitian, I'm saying, but even otherwise, healthy lifestyle is the most, accessible, cost-effective medicine with zero side effect. It's just that you need to work, provided you see any of the qualified dietitian, So work on healthy lifestyle as a part of a treatment, specifically for those who are going through depression or even anxiety for that matter. Stop focusing on a single food or a particular nutrient. Instead of that, as I mentioned earlier, work on an overall nutrition. Take good sleep, hydrate yourself well, work on a time management, because a lot of us lack on that, which adds to stress a lot of time. Take out just 20 to 30 minutes out of your 24 hours, as I mentioned, and you do not need to go to a gym or you do not need to go to a park. I understand during this pandemic, it's not really possible. So you could just do a simple tip, like say, if you like doing dancing, you could do a dance, you can play some video, you can parallel to that do it, you can do a spot jogging, you can do skipping. So there are n number of things that you could work on. So instead of just focusing on the problems, or as I said, being harsh to yourself when it comes to food, denying to have any specific food, look for the solution, and I'm sure it'll help you a lot even for a long term goals. Stop looking for a short term goals in that matter.
Thank you, Khushboo. Swarita, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Cheryl?
Okay, so I think what I would like to close with is, one, I'm very, very grateful to Tava-Mitram for giving me this opportunity and this beautiful platform for all our thoughts to coincide. And I think we need to consciously spread this message at every chance we get, because it's very, very important that we take care of ourselves. So, and I think of this as a divine timing of sorts, because it's only when you are ready do you get a platform to actually speak. So I think we are all work in progress, but we've come a long way. And it's good to take this moment to appreciate where we are and where we still need to further go. And I think one very, very important message, I think, is physically we need to keep moving, exertion, because that's what all of our body stays active with. And emotionally, I think, find different ways of expression, whether it's writing, whether it's even writing to yourself, letters to yourself with positive messages, it goes a long way. And whether it's music, whether it's art therapy, whether it's pet, whether it's walking with nature, all of these, they go back to our roots, and they're very, very important for a more conscious living, which is very important for mental health. So that's what I'd like to close with.
Thanks, Shraddha. Cheryl, over to you.
Sure, Ekktaa. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I think that I'm leaving here with an enriched compassion and understanding for myself as a result of our discussions today. And I'd also like to take this opportunity as we close out to congratulate Ekktaa and Dr. Paras and Tava-Mitram for the work it's doing, not only on a national, but also on a global scale. And for the month of October, for the audience who don't know, Tava-Mitram has scheduled various mental health discussions. And I'd like to invite them to join these discussions that are all about different life issues and looking at handling these issues via alternate ways of healing. So I know previously there's been topics on how can animals help us heal, how can music help us heal, and yet to be discussed are mental health for men, for women, mental health in the workplace. And yeah, Tava-Mitram is open to welcoming you to help them create awareness about the importance of mental health and well-being. And Ekktaa, I just want to say kudos to you for doing such an amazing thing, you and Dr. Paras. I know all the hard work that you've put into this, and I think that the rewards are really paying off. I know that I'm leaving here with an enriched experience, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to you, Shraddha.
So I would like to wrap this up into two important things. One is you got to accept yourself the way you are. And second is being aware of what your current thoughts are so that you can switch them using gratitude to build more acceptance to yourself. That's how I would, I would like to end this whole session with. Also, I would like to thank Ekktaa and Dr. Paras for this amazing platform that you guys have set up where you are helping, create so much of awareness to people who are not aware of what mental wellness is all about. I really would like to appreciate you and commend you on the launch of your Hindi website, which aims at catering to the larger audience. Predominantly here in India, we have majority of the population being a Hindi-speaking population. So I'm sure this platform is going to help you guys reach to a wider audience and create better awareness on the mental wellness. I also would like to thank all the panel members for such an insightful session today. And I hope we've been able to add value to all our viewers who have been with us in last 1.5 hours. It's been an amazing session today. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. I guess we are losing on, because of internet issues, we are losing on Deepti and Cheryl. I hope they join us soon. Khushboo, can you come on camera because we are about to close the session? So, I would first of all like to congratulate each one of you for, sharing your own thoughts, sharing your views. Most important factor is sharing your own experiences. The way you, you brought ahead your own vulnerable spaces. All of it has been really, really commendable. I can't just thank you all enough. More than that, I would say, from Team Tava-Mitram, we really, really value your contribution because you have really contributed your valuable time, your thoughts, your skill to raise mental health awareness. And Tava-Mitram is highly, highly appreciating that. So thank you so much. Just give me 1 minute if I can see. Finally, we have you, Deepti. So thank you so much to all the panel members. Accept our sincere gratitude from Team Tava-Mitram. The way you all have come across and shared your views is really, really let me see if I can just share it here. So one before I'm closing, just to the audience to let you know, you can see it on the link. Just give me 1 moment. Yes, there's the link. So if you haven't signed up for My Mental Health, My Priority campaign, then register yourself absolutely free on this below link. I mean, you can see the link on the screen. It's a free program, free certification program, and it will help you to understand more about your own self, about your thoughts, how does it work, all of it. Also, if you really want to come forward and contribute your time, your skills, or money to Tava-Mitram, you can definitely become a global digital volunteer. To join us, you can definitely, look at the link on the screen, and you can get on our website www.tavamitram.org, and you can find all the details. And like Cheryl mentioned, that yes, Mental Health Matters is a campaign, and we have several programs coming up this month. So you can also get that particular detail on our website, that is www.tavamitram.org. And in case of any queries or questions, you can write it to us. Our email address is info@tavamitram.org. You can see that on the screen. Absolutely. So, as we are now, we're almost late, so we're going to quickly wind this up. We're going live on Thursday with another powerful and bold topic, and that is My Body, My Mind, nobody's area of expertise. We would be talking about gray areas of body shaming. So kindly accept my personal invitation on behalf of Team Tava-Mitram, on behalf of Dr. Paras, and join us on Thursday at 8 p.m. And for more updates on this drive, please follow us on our Facebook page and Insta handle Tava-Mitram. And yes, some of you who do not have access to Facebook page and Insta handle, you can definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. Paras, and you can get all the updates of our program. As in when we go live, you get a notification if you subscribe to our channel. So that's all from our end. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Namaste.